Okay, everything's going good. Okay. Hey, what's up, baby? And welcome back to another Seth the Programmer video. This video is actually quite a bit old. It was made 5 years ago, and it was could Batman solve the Kira case? And honestly, because we're talking about Batman, I think it's only respectful that I bring out. Oh shoot, I don't even. This shows that how new it is. I didn't even take off the tag. I got this not too long ago, bro. It's a Batman, I don't even know what you're supposed to call this. I'm just gonna call it a shirt. I got a little Batman thing on. See the art on the back? I'm not sure if you guys got a good view of it. If not, I'll probably just take a picture and then put it as a pip for the things. But honestly, let's just get straight into the video. I wonder, could Batman solve the Kira case? My guess is yes. Not even a doubt in my mind. Batman is one of the smartest men to ever
everyone. It is your host, SethTheProgrammer, and today we're going to be going over something a little different. Today we're going to be going over Batman and the world of Death Note, and whether or not he could solve the Kira case.
Absolutely.
I figured this would be interesting due to the fact that most people really don't talk about Batman as a detective or as deductive reasoning.
Batman has crazy deductive reasoning.
Weird plans to beat up supernatural beings and what he can do in a fight. And what better way to see how he stacks up as a detective than to throw him in one of the most popular cat and mouse mangas out there, Death Note. Also, if you do like this video or want more content like this, be sure to show that by hitting the like button and subscribing. It really helps gauge how much you guys really want these kind of.
I have a question. Do you guys think Kira would have killed Batman before he would have solved the case? For one reason. Because Light had tons of people that had the Shinigami eyes that could have seen the people's name above them. So if somebody had Shinigami eyes, and you know, Batman, he's not only gonna solely focus on Kira. I mean, obviously, unless you know the only person that's alive, I mean, not alive, the only villain that's there is Kira. Batman would be fighting people all the time, so all he would have to do is get one of his friends to see Batman, see that Bruce Wayne is it Batman's Bruce Wayne, and then write Bruce Wayne's name into the Death Note. If Light didn't already fucking write Bruce Wayne's name in the Death Note for no reason already.
And like I said, if you want something unique, hit the button. You know, it really does show that this is something you want to see. The premise of the video will go a little something like this. We'll be taking Gotham City and Batman from DC Comics and putting them into the world of Death Note.
I would love to see this.
Being placed arbitrarily in America, it doesn't really matter. And Batman utterly replacing L. So that means the super detective L does not exist at the moment in this hypothetical.
That makes sense.
And will instead be replaced by Bruce Wayne taking on L's role per se. Batman will not get outside help and will have to use his raw deduction and skill to beat the case.
Okay, how are we doing this?
The
he has like protocol set up.
Follows. Convict Light and prove that he is Kira. And the losing conditions are as follows. Arresting Light without legal evidence, which is the ability to keep him in jail, because Batman does have a problem of arresting criminals, and not being able to keep them in jail because of the evidence he obtained.
Absolutely.
Killing Light without proving he is Kira first, or Light kills himself before Batman can prove he is Kira. It may sound strange, as if Light kills himself or Batman kills him, then it would seem that the world would be
like,
rid of Kira, right?
Like Batman would, I mean, Batman wouldn't kill, to be honest, in the first place. What Batman is this? This might not be Bruce Wayne. This might be Thomas Wayne if we're just killing people. And why would Light kill himself?
However, L and many others from Whammy's house like Mello and B consider this a loss. This was shown in the BB Murders Case novel by Nisio Isin, where B, the backup / copy of L, has Naomi Misora go on a hunt for a killer, and by the end of it, B planned on killing himself and pretending to be one of the victims. B did this because if B were to kill himself, then L would never be able to prove who the killer actually was outside of speculation, and then B would have defeated L since L couldn't solve the case for good.
I mean,
the BB murder case is
that doesn't really help you though.
L's backstory by Oba himself. However, there is another novel called L Changed the World, and while this is an alternate continuity and someone takes L out of,
I didn't know there was so many freaking spin-off Death Notes.
In this continuity, L actually ends up almost securing the victory over Light, and Light can't find out L's name or convince Rem to kill him, and so Light kills himself in prison with the Death Note scrap in his watch, in which L considers this an utter defeat. Remember that this is, can Batman solve the case, not Light versus Batman death battle. And since this video is Batman taking L's place,
I didn't even mean to fast forward.
Rule. Even if Batman considers it a loss or not, the world of Death Note and its detectives do consider it a loss if those conditions are reached. Another rule is that Light Yagami must find out Batman's secret identity, Bruce Wayne, and write that in the Death Note.
That's where you get me. Like, wouldn't that be kind of easy? Because all he would have to do is see Batman with one of his people would have to see Batman with Shinigami eyes, and then if he writes Bruce Wayne's name in the Death Note, Bruce Wayne, and Batman suddenly stops saving the city, wouldn't that prove that Batman is Bruce Wayne? Like, I don't know. And I didn't know Death Note had so many spin-offs. Like, the only one I knew of was like one guy, he sold the Death Note, but selling it's like against the rules, so he died. And it was to like Donald Trump or something like that, and Donald Trump never got the Death Note. It was so weird.
I've seen some question the idea that Batman once gripped the lasso of truth and he said that his name was Batman. However, this doesn't inherently have to mean Batman is his first identity or the identity the Death Note would want written inside of it.
Absolutely not.
One, it could simply mean that Batman saying Batman is his name isn't a lie, and could mean he considers Batman an actual name of his as well as Bruce.
I think that's
Two,
definitely
it. Could
it.
mean that he has resistance to things that try to force him to reveal his identity.
He is.
And could convince even the...
Yep. I remember hearing about that. Somehow Batman has stuff like in his brain, and he has his brain trained to do stuff. So like, how do I even describe it? I forgot what comic it was too. Batman, like, he just has like built-in stuff that he's fundamentally put into his brain to like neglect certain things like mind control. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, how does a nigga even think of that? Oh, I don't want to be mind controlled, so let me just meditate. I'm woke now. Like, I wanna know how he did that. How do you train your brain to not become mind controlled? That would be a great essay.
So of truth that he's telling the truth even if he really isn't. This wouldn't be too far-fetched, as Batman has convinced people many times, like Deathstroke, that Bruce isn't his real identity. 3, it could mean that he himself believes that Batman is his true name or identity.
Batman, he probably believes that Batman is him.
This could be done in a multitude of ways, by hypnotizing himself, psychological tricks, etc. Believe me when I say that none of this would be crazy for Batman.
It's not.
However, the Death Note doesn't care about detective codes or the mental state of the person. It wants the original identity of the person, meaning it would want Bruce Wayne in this case. This is also shown in L Change the World, where it's unsure what would constitute L's real identity due to how many he appropriates himself with, yet L writes L Laliet, his original name, inside of the Death Note. Long story short, we're going to make Bruce Wayne the goal to avoid confusion and unnecessary contention. The version of Batman will be Batman Rebirth, as choosing a particular Batman could come off as cherry picking, and I don't want people screaming, "You chose that Batman only because he had that weakness, you biased weeb!" With that out of the way, let's begin.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
Our story would begin the way Death Note normally did. Light notices a notebook on the ground from his classroom window and decides to go pick it up after school. He decides to try it out and kills the Shinjuku killer, Otohara Dakuro, as normal, and from here he ends up regretfully killing Takuo Shibuimaru for being too aggressive with a girl, and this causes Light to snap and acknowledge that the world is a
too aggressive.
Place
that dude was straight up trying to assault her and chased her down.
Writing names in his Death Note, making sure not to kill anybody too major, so that the police wouldn't cover up the killings or keep anything a secret. After killing many people and starting to gain a few conspiracy theories around the world on the internet, Light himself declares, "I'm going to make the whole world know I'm here, that somebody is passing righteous judgment on them." Of course, Light was written this way so that, for one, the world would begin to change from his actions and acknowledge Kira, and 2, so that people could catch his trail. After this, Interpol, aka the International Police, start to notice something is fishy. However, they have no leads and can't prove anything is happening outside of coincidence. This is normally where L would step in to organize the police around the world. However, in this timeline, a vigilante takes the scene to take it up by himself.
Vigilante, that's a one way to say it. I'll say
From
vigilante.
Here, a matter of perspective comes into play. How would Batman go about convicting Kira? And I think the best way to do this is to actually compare how L operates to Batman. L is rather manipulative, maybe a sociopath, if you will, and is willing to
So is
drop
Bruce.
bodies and ruin lives to win a case.
Oh, no, not
All
that.
throughout the series, he's shown faking his emotions, even in scenes where everyone is freaking out. You'll notice L is never drawn with a genuine sweat mark on his face, showing that he's not actually surprised or concerned. And this was done deliberately by Obata to show L's actual mental state. And Oba even goes as far as to say L is slightly evil in how to read, which is showcased by L trying to even manipulate Light by calling him his friend when he actually despises him, or how he used Lindell Taylor's body as a Death Note sponge to draw out Kira and then laugh at him publicly to challenge him for the spot of top mind in the world, or as Nier calls it, the Battle of Pride. The question then
a battle of pride.
Would Batman do anything like this?
Absolutely not.
And the answer is yes, he could, but
he
he would
wouldn't.
do it in a way more dominant format, more mature as well. Although he probably wouldn't sacrifice criminals since it's not necessary. He's seeking evidence for himself to convict Light, and then looking to prove that Kira exists to the police later to keep him in jail. Not the other way around like L did. Batman would more than likely travel to Japan immediately, as even L figured Kira was in Japan even before Lindell Taylor died. You may then be asking, what's to say Batman would figure this out just because L did? And the answer is quite a simple gauge of raw intelligence.
Absolutely. Batman,
L
Bruce
an
is so
insane
crazy.
prodigy, considered one of the greatest.
It's crazy how smart that man Bruce is. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, he has something on you, or he'll find out something on you by just watching you. That man Bruce does not care. Bruce got it. Oh, and I just spit on my microphone. Look at me go. Yeah. I want to talk, but it's like I'm so intrigued in what's happening that I'm just like, I probably spent like 3 minutes just eating and watching. Yeah, L was definitely really petty on a lot of the stuff. Nier was right about it being a battle of pride. L doesn't give a fuck about your life. He doesn't care if you die. If you die, it helps him. Like, he's like, narrows it down. I bet L would be fine with everybody but Light in him dying, so he would be confirmed to be Kira.
Minds on Earth and Death Note How to Read, and the greatest detective on the planet. By just 8 years old, he was smart enough to stop World War III, and by the time he was a young adult, he was challenging him.
I didn't know that.
States his ability as that of 5 ordinary investigative bureaus and 7 intelligence agencies. As a reminder, Einan Celeste Colley, who has an estimated IQ of 263, gave his first public lecture at the age of 6, and at 7 years and 1 month of age, he had passed the GCSE chemistry and studied chemistry at the tertiary level in Singapore Polytechnic a year later.
God
damn. And at 9, he was able to recite pi to 518 decimal places and can remember the periodic table.
That's
in this
crazy.
case, however, at 8 years old, L had more ability than more than likely any detective on the planet, and he was the one who actually figured out and stopped the bombings that would have caused
I think
World
his
War
frontal
III,
lobe is
which
crazy.
would then inspire Watsuri to create Whammy's house. This means L's IQ as an 8-year-old child is easily in the 250 through 300 IQ range by our real-life standards, and as an adult, it could be even more astronomical, as Mello states that L gets more intelligent as he gets older. Batman is a bit more ludicrous and out there in comparison. For example, Batman was more accurately able to predict when Horace Pex would fire, and even when a time-traveling robot would turn up and appear, when in both instances Brainiac couldn't. For those that don't know, Brainiac is a 12th level intellect, with a 6th level intellect rivaling that of all of humanity combined. Meaning Batman had better deduction than a being who was outside of human comprehension, whereas L is rivaling numerous bureaus put together and is debatably peak human intelligence, give or take. Although even then, L doesn't have a max intelligence stat in Death Note How to Read, but a Shinigami by the name of Nu, Shinigami having intelligence similar to scale as humans, has maxed out intelligence. So in all actuality, yes, Batman is far more qualified to make the deduction that Light is in Japan than L, or even all of humanity
he would 100%
even is.
Exactly. The fact that Brainiac be controlling people, like doesn't Brainiac like take your mind? I mean, he takes your body too, obviously, and he controls you, but he learns everything that you learn by like going inside your brain. So that man Brainiac, just to like glaze Batman just a tiny bit, just to add a little bit of that sauce on there, on there. Brainiac probably absorbed a ton of humans' intellects combined and was probably, so not only is Batman smarter than Brainiac, who's a 12th level intellect, he is smarter than Brainiac, who's a 12th level intellect, plus everybody that was already on that ship. Because Brainiac, remember, he's aliens too. He has aliens on that bitch too. What if those aliens are smarter than humans and he's controlling them and he took all of their knowledge too?
The hunt isn't totally one-sided. Out of all of Batman's perks, he has his fair set of weaknesses here. The main one being that it's not actually all that hard to truly figure out who he is, especially if you don't actually care about who dies for you to find out. Now, while many characters have tried exposing Bruce's identity and Batman has squirmed his way out of it most times, Light would not worry about exposing or confirming Bruce's identity. He pressed the switch the second he figured that Bruce had the qualifications of Batman.
I'm saying.
For Batman, you mainly just have to figure out A, he does most of his work in Gotham and therefore more than likely lives in Gotham. B, is in great shape and is peak human if not greater, therefore he's likely younger. C, he can afford and create insane levels of tech, therefore he must be richer and more intelligent.
Like finding out Bruce Wayne is Batman.
That even most people in the comment section would come up with just scream Bruce Wayne, a conveniently young, wealthy.
I've been saying this forever. Finding out Bruce Wayne is Batman should not be surprising to anybody. Like, even when when Bruce revealed his identity to Catwoman, I'm pretty sure I'll probably show the clip. It makes sense that you can afford all the tech, you have all the money for it. Like think about it. Bruce, he owns an entire business, Wayne Enterprises. Dumb rich, billionaire. Batman has some crazy tech that not even the police have. And on top of that, Bruce, I mean, obviously he doesn't reveal himself much, but you could probably tell he's a pretty fit individual. Like, it's not hard to find out Bruce Wayne is Batman at all. Like, if I was in Gotham and I saw Batman like solving crimes and I saw the tech that he had, and you can tell that, somehow Bruce Wayne is never active when Batman's active.
The American playboy,
that nigga Batman is Bruce Wayne,
owner of Wayne Enterprises. Of course, you could say that maybe he's hired by the government or something. However, he wouldn't be hard to track even then, and you could still come on to Bruce Wayne and then just investigate him from there. Although, like I said, Light would probably just kill Bruce anyway, just like he did Lindell Taylor. The Grim Knight, who is basically Batman, who instead of doing what he did normally when his parents died, shot the muggers that killed them, is considered the most intelligent of the Dark Knights, even including the Batman who laughs, whom the Grim Knight tricks into not destroying everything by saying his plans make things too easy and uninteresting, blah blah blah. And the Batman who laughs is a being who, despite being a normal human with prep, is so insane that he can kill powerful beings that could easily solo the human race. However, in this world, the Grim Knight variant is basically Batman on steroids, and will even kill criminals. The Commissioner Gordon of that reality doesn't like this though, and he dedicates himself to figuring out Batman's identity, and he does. Gordon then hunts him down, beats the shit out of him, strips Wayne Industries and all of its assets, then throws him in jail. So, as you can see, imagine Batman has god tier level deduction and stats, but it's not terribly hard to figure out who he is yourself. And
exactly. Another thing that I want to talk about that. How does that nigga Gordon beat up Batman? Like, I swear, as soon as Bruce takes off that armor, he is nerfed. Like, he's trained in over 100 different fighting styles. That's not just with the mask on, but like, Gordon should not be able to put hands on you. Like, I'm just saying, you're able to do all this to other people, but Gordon, like, come on, over 100 different fighting styles, but as soon as you take that armor off, you're just you're the average dude. Fun fact, did you know in guys' minds, they are 1,000% less effective in a fight than they really think they are? Fun fact.
People have actually
it might even be 2,000,
even with his most intelligent versions. From here, it's clear that Light could more than likely deduce Batman's identity, but now the question is, would he try to? Now, we'll question the skills and initiative of Batman and take his skills to the fullest.
Because Batman wouldn't be in the front line.
Batman's approach would be much different than L's. Whereas L sees Light as a challenge in his battle of pride and his detective code, Batman would be in the shadows. See Light as a criminal. This is important because L tries his best to goad Light into acting and challenge him directly on air, announcing himself as an enemy immediately, but Batman doesn't necessarily have to announce himself as an enemy, if announce himself at all.
You'd
And
probably
while
just do
Batman
it in the
is probably
shadows.
extremely popular in Gotham and his name would definitely reach the internet, it's not as if Light would view him as an enemy. He'd view him as someone who loved true justice, a vigilante who wasn't scared to break the law to protect the world.
Same as Light.
Similar to him. Also, Light didn't even know about L until L rubbed his name in his face on air, even though his father was the chief of police and all of Interpol pretty much knows who L is. Casting a lot of doubt on Light immediately knowing of Batman anyway, although even if he did, since Batman has wild superhuman feats, it doesn't mean Light would target him. This may seem like a disadvantage for Batman actually, because this is how L originally proved Light was in the Kanto region of Japan. However, like I said before, this would not be needed to actually deduce he was there. It's only really needed to challenge and make Light angry, as well as prove it to the public off the bat, which Batman doesn't need to do.
Which honestly, now that you think about it like this will probably rewrite the entire story. L was only killing people in jail. He's only killing criminals. He wasn't as unhinged until Light wasn't as unhinged until L challenged him. L enabled him so he would go off the chain. Do you think Light would have done all this stuff that he did, went through all the loopholes, got all those people involved, if it wasn't for L? As much as Light could have easily won at the very beginning by not killing Lindell Taylor, he also enabled Light to kill him. Like, let's be honest, Light probably would have just been killing criminals till death did him part. I mean, eventually, you know, after killing all this time, he's like, you know what, this is probably getting boring. Let's kill some big shots, you know, the evils of the world. He'd probably go a little bit farther, but he didn't build this super big god complex until L challenged him. L made Light Kira.
Since Bruce doesn't need Interpol or local police to help him. This is because the Shinjuku killer was only broadcasted in Japanese media, which L calls out later, and then simply attempts to scan Japan, starting out with Kanto, its most populous region. Batman would easily make a similar, if not greater, deduction. Light unfortunately has a few weaknesses as well that pan themselves out throughout the series that Oba left in to let L catch on to Kira. The first big one is the fact that Light originally killed people during his off hours from school, which immediately gave away the fact that he was a student, as well as the Shinjuku mistake he made earlier, which he did not knowing that the Death Note would even work to begin with.
Yeah,
this would easily have Batman on the hunt through Japan, and he'd more than likely be scouring the schools of Kanto, Japan first, similar to L. L also calls out that the suspect is more than likely highly intelligent due to his methodical and coordinated killings of others.
I'm saying,
if the police ever caught on that Kira was
Light
killing
smart
criminals and decided to censor
Japan,
information, which is likely, and in fact the Japanese task force suggested it to L numerous times, then Light would have to start killing the innocent or use the Japanese police database to find out criminals' names, which Light pretty much already did. This gives Batman even more clue on who Light is, an intelligent school student from Japan with access to private police records.
Which would lead it straight to him.
There would only be a few suspects from here.
Light.
Karayoshi Kudamura's daughter, Sayu Yagami, and Light Yagami mainly. However, even if police records were never accessed, Batman could still find Light even if only using the schools as a reference, because Batman would only have to meet or see Light to actually know it was him for the most part. Examples of this being how when Batman met Thunderbolt and knew he was a fifth dimensional imp right off the bat, or I can read your pulse and tell what you think of others simply by looking at you. So if Batman ever did get in contact with Light Yagami, it's pretty much game over. Light Yagami would have one of his stereotypical dramatic internal Death Note monologues, and Batman would read it all like a book, as well as being able to tell when he's feigning ignorance. It'd be similar to how L gave the police department and the suspects all his deductive reasoning test and only Light fit the bill, except on steroids. It might be even worse if you consider the fact that Batman might be able to see Ryuk as well, as he was able to tell Martian Manhunter was present simply by his breathing, and can register these insanely complex beings no problem. He was also able to see Dead Man, who was literally a dead man who could possess living people, kind of like a ghost. In
Zatanna is so fine. Like, I know this is off topic, but if I was in DC Comics and you were to make me a superhero, please put me in Zatanna's realm and ship me with Zatanna, because god dang, thick thighs save lives. And I wouldn't mind if she used a little Mad Hatter magic on me. Yeah, I mean.
literally a
You have permission to
dead man
unsubscribe.
who could possess living people, kind of like a ghost.
That's real.
In
That's fair.
post-crisis, he can even tell when magic or supernatural things have been used in a proximity, making light even more likely. And if that isn't convincing, realize that the League of Shadows has erased Batman's memories up to 3 times. And
Damn.
the League of Shadows is a group of secret wizards that have remained undiscovered for thousands of years, that even give Batman fake memories once he finds them, so he'll stop coming back, and then he finds them again anyway with fake memories. In comparison,
Talia al Ghul. Also off topic. You know what they say? Toxic bitches. This is exactly why I'm single and why I'm going to stay single until the day I die. Continue.
Egotistical and clumsily starting out Light Yagami is child's play defined. From here, Bruce has 2 options. Either A, introduce himself as Batman, or B, act like Light wasn't a big deal and then stalked him to learn more later. In option A, Bruce would introduce himself as Batman and call Light out for being Kira. However, his strategy here would be to convince Light that he works for justice and supports Kira. With Light unable to do anything to Batman, Batman can then sway Light's opinion towards him and possibly get him to admit everything. Batman did this before with Lex Luthor,
Probably 100%.
when he convinces him to show him his secret lab, saying he'll help him in exchange. Even if Light doesn't agree to the alliance, Batman will be able to tell if Light is lying or wishes him harm by simply looking at him.
And he'd probably be recording it over and over.
Have Batman go to Plan B. In Plan B, Batman would stalk Light, similar to Ray Pember. However, the difference between Ray and Bruce is that if Light starts whispering to Ryuk, thinking Bruce is too far away for him to hear, he'd actually hear everything he was saying.
Yeah, Bruce can hear from miles
Batman
away.
is often credited, no sounds escape him, and no movement is hidden. He'd realize that there was something with him, even if he couldn't see the Shinigami. If
I didn't even
Batman
think about
realized
that.
Light was hostile.
Dang. That man Light, honestly, I wonder why nobody thought Light was like a schizophrenic during the series, you know? Like, if I saw a guy that was suspected to be Kira constantly going, I would think that nigga is crazy. Like, lock him up regardless if he's Kira or not. Yeah. Not gonna lie. That's a good deduction right there. SethTheProgrammer is a great detective too.
He may even subdue him there and put him immediately into questioning, which from there he would actually hypnotize Light to tell him the truth like he did to Penguin before. From here, all Batman would have to do is convince Soichiro to let Batman search his son's room, or go in there on his own merits after overhearing Light speak, or maybe convincing him that he was a good guy and on his side. He'd only ask Soichiro if he wanted to arrest Light legally, but he could probably do it either way. And
illegally,
yes,
100%.
would more than likely listen to Batman. Soichiro cares more about the law than his own son in the end, and this is displayed in all novels and the main series. If Batman ever did enter Light's room, he'd be able to immediately tell if anything was a trap or rigged.
Absolutely.
As there has been instances where he's looked at a completely ordinary looking doorknob and could tell it was a trap. This means the chances of him discovering Light's secret notebook stash and its trap is very high, as well as the fact that he's probably overheard Light talking about it and shopping for its components anyway. This alongside the fact that Batman has insane forensic skills that could even catch criminals by a simple printer streak on a printed map, or the exact actions a car took and its content / color based off of a collision it had, means Batman probably has over a 99% chance of getting Light's notebook or figuring out what he's doing with it and where it is. He's simply too powerful for a pretty much normal smart guy like Light to get around. And it makes sense.
I feel like
DC
Bruce,
characters
yeah,
a lot
I
of
think
the time
Batman
are
would
written to
100%.
be admirable rather than fully relatable. Whereas in this case, Light and Death Note are kind of written to allow the characters to catch on to each other. They have very exposed weaknesses, and whereas it doesn't have to be so inherent with Batman.
Batman would just shut it down.
All the
You shut that bitch down
His son's
immediately.
prints were all over the notebook, and could even show the trap he had in his room and explain how the Death Note works and how Light operated, and it would be good game. Even if you had Batman come for Light after the death of L and he had Misa helping him, this would not be much different. I say Misa helping because
Shinigami eyes.
never trade for the Shinigami eyes and would rather kill himself in prison than get them. In this case, the only threat to Batman is Misa. However, he has many contingencies against her. For one, Batman wears a mask under his normal mask so you can't, meaning even if Misa took
because you gotta have a face. You have to have a face for you to be able to see with the Shinigami eyes. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's GG's. Game over. Checkmate. Whatever you want to call it. Ching ching.
He wouldn't see his
End
name.
End it right
even
there.
If she did somehow see his name using the "if they see your eyes, they can see your name" rule, and Batman noticed hostile intent and that she was up to trying to kill him, he'd more than likely subdue her, similar to before.
Absolutely.
It'd also be way easier for Batman to follow L's footsteps in the Light's direction than before, just like with Nier and Mello, making this a much faster GG. This is of course giving Batman a somewhat more realistic approach based on Death Note's established lore. However, in all honesty, due to his feats versus Lex Luthor, Darkseid, Brainiac, and so on, this may be a far greater stomp than I'm letting on it, but this is just an easy way to explain
I'm saying.
it. And if I were to give him Death Note stats like the How to Read did, it'd probably be a little something like this. Yeah, but pretty broken. A little too strong to be here.
Yes.
So in the end, Batman would more than likely slap Light like he was a filler villain. Other than that, I know some people will have some comments, so I'll address them here real quick.
Okay, let's go.
Batman not believe in magic? In New 52, he doesn't, and in fact, he gets Superman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg killed because of it. Although in Post-Crisis and Rebirth, he does, and could even tell when magic has been used in an area. Question 2. Why not just have Batman use the Mobius chair? I'd rather not bring this up ever. For one, not only is this outside help, but it makes me develop a disease just thinking about how dumb Batman was in this thing. As an example, he asks the chair who the Joker is, and the chair responds, "There are 3 Jokers." So Batman just goes, "Huh?" and gets out of the chair to figure out who they are instead of, you know, just asking the chair who the 3 were.
Yes.
Imagine if you got in the chair and said, "Who is Kira?" and the chair responded, "There are 2 Kiras," and Batman just got super anxious and went out to look for them instead of asking the chair.
Like, oh my god, that chair.
3.
Batman goes brain dead.
Wouldn't use the police? I say this because he doesn't actually need them. However, if it kind of isn't his character if he were to use them, I suppose, such as when he kept sending Chronovores after Superman to teach him about teamwork and epically failing.
I thought the Mobius chair would probably be like the Brainiac
really
chair.
Needed police record, he could attain them without Interpol or the Japanese police. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you want more Death Note or even Batman related content, show me that by hitting this video with a like or a sub. Like I said before, it
definitely
really
will.
Numbers how much you actually like it, and other than that, till next time.
Bro, like right there. Let's look at some of the comments real quick. Should I make another Batman or even L video in the future? Okay. Batman sees one speck of dust at a crime scene. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. That's so real. Batman could deduct everything. Like he just be looking around a little bit like, yep, I know exactly what they have for breakfast too. Kira, I am peak intelligence, peak human intelligence, and that is your problem, limiting yourself to human capabilities. It will be easy for Batman. He will just pull out his Kira detector from his utility belt. Batman typically goes for criminals who are physically performing crime. However, Kira doesn't physically perform crime. Batman will very likely silently investigate him. Exactly. It's so in the shadows. By the time Kira realizes Batman is investigating him, Batman would literally be behind him. Exactly. And it's impossible for him to be able to tell. Like the only person that would probably be able to tell that Batman was even slightly on his tail would probably be Ryuk. And you think Ryuk's gonna spoil the fun? The nigga wants to have fun. He wants to eat apples, munch on that shit, and have fun and watch the battle unfold. Light breeze. You know, you're the only person around here with a big ass Shinigami following you. Light, I'm gonna take this potato chip and eat it. And that was your last mistake. That was your first and last mistake. Power scaling. No, we're too sophisticated for that. This is intellect scaling. There we go. Light sneezes. Batman, you may not realize it, but that sneeze contained about 7.2 gigabytes of information about it. See, I didn't think it was, I knew it was going to be pretty basic to begin with. Like, it depends if you're like limiting him. Like, you're going into the DC Comics, movie Batman is the only one that I could see having real trouble. Like, that's the only one I can see really struggling to find out if he was Kira or not. But other than that, it should be a pretty easy stomp. Like, it should be a big curb stomp, to be honest. Like, it's not even a debate. But hey, I know you guys like this SethTheProgrammer. I know you guys looking over here. Could L Catch the Joker. Death Note. And the Joker's pretty smart. The Joker is also peak human intelligence, so I'd like to see this. Like, maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll try to get this one out in less than 2 weeks of me posting this, because I know I haven't been doing good when it comes to the reaction videos. As you can probably tell, I'm tired. I'm already slurring my speech, not slurring it, but I'm messing up my speech. I'm getting all my words wrong. But if you guys enjoyed, I hope you guys like and subscribe, and I hope I see you boys in the next one. Bye, guys. Have a good night.